What's up, everyone? I am back today on February 17th, 2026, with a market review of the NASDAQ on how I didn't take any trades. Uh, Here's proof that I took no trades. Here's my P&L. Same account, same balance as it was on last week. Same, no P&L, nothing. No executions on the chart. And I'm going to just get straight into it. So coming into the day, I was bearish. I still am bearish. My bias didn't flip. But I was bearish because we, made an SMT over here, respected this gap on ES, and started displacing lower through all these lows, and are now respecting bearish, disrespecting bullish gaps, disrespecting these gaps, respecting all these gaps. So that's what made me bearish. We still had these two little lows that I was targeting for the day until this final low, and then the final low over here, those being my overall targets. But for today, I just wanted these two to get hit. So coming into market open, we had this high right here, which was a 4-hour intermediate high, a high inside of a 4-hour gap, being this 4-hour gap, and then another one all the way up here. So my market open being right here, my scenarios that I drew out that I wanted to see for the day was either A, we right at open, come up and get an instant inverse to the downside and get a trade off of that, or come up, get this gap, have some type of internal target, get a short, or we just displace lower at open and get a continuation short to these two lows. And if both of these lows were to have taken or been taken before giving me a setup, I would have just been off for the day because I do not want on a long from here. And it being a no news day after a bank holiday, the bank holiday was yesterday. That's why I didn't post, I didn't trade, I didn't even get on the charts. I would not have expected us to dump 400 points, 500 points all the way to this low on a no news day. If we dumped that fast, it would have just chopped, been a weird rebalance. Not something I would have wanted to see. So what ended up happening at market open was we came up and we kind of displaced through this 4-hour intermediate high. We didn't get the instant reaction like I would have wanted, but either way, I didn't want to short from here because we didn't have any type of internal target. There were no equal lows at all. No equal lows, no low resistance liquidity, no data low, no unfilled gap. So the way I trade, I like to pair a higher time frame bias, a higher time frame draw, being this, with also a lower time frame internal target. We had the draw, we had the bias, but we did not have the internal target. So I would have wanted to wait for that to develop. After we displaced through this, we didn't really get a reaction off of it. I expected us to take this gap or hit this high and then get a short from there. We were opening up a 5-minute gap. I wanted to use that as my internal target. But instead we just inversed it and displaced lower. So once we did this, that was still one of my scenarios. We respected the gap still. And 10 a.m. opened up and the lows were still intact at the time. Well, right at 10 a.m., this first one got taken. And a continuation short was still valid to me because, well, let's go to 10 a.m. here. Like I said, both of these are my draw, not just one of them. I expect both of them to get hit. So that's what I wanted to see for the day. If one of them gets hit, I'm perfectly fine with waiting for the retrace and getting the short. So there were two inversions that happened, and I just wanted to explain why I faded both of them. So the first one is right at 10 a.m. We had this 5-minute gap right above this first, discounted 5-minute gap. And right out of it came, I think it was this right here, this 2-minute short. It would have looked something like this. Wait for the close. Right here, this 2-minute gap. Now, the reason I did not take this trade was because this 5-minute was too discounted. You know, we just had a 350 point dump, and you know, after displacement comes accumulation. You know how AMD works, it accumulates, manipulates, distributes, and after that will accumulate again. So here, this was kind of your accumulation, this was your manipulation, this was your distribution. You can't expect to just get one tiny little retrace, especially when there's this big of a leg. There's multiple gaps in this leg, and this whole leg hasn't been rebalanced, and you just take the first thing that happens, first little pullback. That's why I faded this. I wanted for us to either come up higher and come into these, you know, more premium 5-minute gaps, or to at 10:15 open up a 15-minute gap, resweep this high and get a short. So that's why I faded this setup. Would have been a loss, and I'm glad I faded it. And that's exactly what happened. Is at 10:15 this 15-minute got created. And initially what I wanted to see was, I didn't need an internal target here, because in continuation setups I don't need it, because the internal target is, you know, a relative equal low with this low here. And initially I wanted to see like an instant inverse off of here. Like after this candle printed, I wanted to instantly see this 1-minute gap inverse. You know, limit order the gap probably. Maybe not, whatever, depending on the RR. And, you know, take this short. But instead we displaced higher. The 1 minute wasn't the highest time frame gap in the leg anymore. It then became this 2-minute. Then became this 3-minute. And then the 3-minute never got inversed. And it ended up creating a 4-minute. You know, like I was just about to take this 3-minute. I was going to take it if it inversed. But it didn't. And then a 4-minute got created, and I have to take the highest time frame inversion within the manipulation leg. That's just my entry model. So then this 4-minute, I, you know, was still fine with taking it, but I just wanted it to inverse within like the first candle or two. And I would have had to limit order it just because I need at least 1-to-1 RR. Like if it closed here, I can't just enter because I need to have my stop here. Mechanically, that's just how I do it. Either body or wick. There was nothing else within this leg that I could have really, you know, used as an SL. So that's why I just put it at the body. And here wouldn't have been a 1-to-1. To get the 1-to-1, I would have had to limit order right there. So that's what I wanted to see. First 4-minute candle almost inverses it, but doesn't. And my break even would have been here because I always break even at the intermediate or the internal low or the internal high. You know, this is the swing low before the swing high, making it the internal low. And I mark it on both NQ and ES because if, let's say there's no type of internal SMT here, like the markets are just correlated like they were today, if ES were to take this low first, I cannot take this trade. That would, to me, this low is taken. I cannot use it as a valid break even. I would need it to resweep. But if it's something like maybe ES is the weaker pair, let's say, for example, we have like an SMT here. We didn't have that today, but let's just say this is an SMT and this high was taken on NQ. Then it would be fine for this low to be taken first on ES because that's just how SMTs work. If ES is the weaker pair here, where it's failing to take highs, it's going to take the lows first. But since here it shouldn't be taking the lows first because they're correlated, it should be at the same time, it matters. So with this next 4-minute candle, this low got taken. So I could not take the setup anymore because that low was taken. That's my break even. And even if I did still want to limit order, I could not have taken it because the low of day would have been taken before the, you know, the limit order would have been hit. And after that, I just decided, you know, I'm done for the day. It was already late. It was already 10:30. There was nothing else that could have happened for me to take a trade unless we came all the way back here, reswept the high, and got a short. But at that point, it would have been too late. We were already kind of chopping. So I just, you know, got off, logged off. And this low ended up not even getting hit. And the high would have been swept, taken out. That's why you have rules that when your, break even point gets taken, you don't limit order, you don't enter. Because if I did that today, if I broke my rules and decided to still have that limit order, regardless of these lows being taken, it would have been a losing trade. So that's why you follow your rules. I'm very happy with how I played today. I did everything that I needed to do, everything I did correctly. And once again, I'm just preserving capital for better days. I didn't really expect the price action today to be good, just because it is a no news day. And yesterday was a bank holiday. Usually the day after bank holiday isn't good, especially the fact that it is no news. So glad with how I played today. First trading day of the week. Didn't trade yesterday. Wasn't even on yesterday due to the bank holiday. And I'm excited for the rest of the week. See how I play it. See what happens. And I'm going to play it exactly how I played today, sticking to my rules and being disciplined. So I'll see you guys next video. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, just leave it in the comments, and I'll gladly answer it.